Well, it's a very good morning to you, a very good afternoon, and a very good evening to some of you, wherever you are listening to this webinar, either live or on your favorite streaming service. My name is Dr. Natalie Ashdown. Welcome to the Coaching Cafe. Today, we are talking about how to create that 36% uplift in performance. And I would normally say welcome to Paula Jones Hunt, but she's not well today. So if you're listening to this, Paula, we send you all of the best wishes and chicken soup to help you feel well. Before we begin, as always, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners and the custodians on the lands on which we meet today and their continuing connection to the land, the waters, and communities of Australia. And wherever you are dialing in from around the world, we acknowledge you, your elders, past, present, and emerging, and elders from Indigenous communities from all around the world. Lovely to see everyone saying hello on the chat, and lovely to hear the weather report and where you're dialing in from. So, thank you. So, today we're going to continue our series on focusing on performance conversations and performance reviews. And if you've caught up on our Coaching Cafe, over the last couple of weeks, we have been talking about how there's a huge shift and a trend away from annual performance events and midterm events, even though many organizations are still doing these midterm events as well. So, the reason why we're holding the Coaching Cafe on performance reviews around this is to try to help managers and help leaders out there do those conversations better. But we're also really trying to focus on how do we make this shift away from annual events. And today, really, the focus is on how coaching enables that uplift in performance. If you are new to the Coaching Cafe, we say welcome. We're all about sharing our learned experiences. There's a wonderful open door alumni. I can see all the coaches coming on the line. Many of you have been part of our alumni for many, many, many years. I'm thinking over 10 years for some of you. Um, and so we're here to share our shared learning experience, have thought-provoking conversations, and of course, at the end of our session, ICF are available. We're saying hello to people from California. Welcome back, Robin, and KL, and all around the world. So you're here to share those thought learning experiences. And of course, if you're a regular to the Coaching Cafe, welcome back. And if you're listening to this live, happy Friday to you all. Okay, that's my intro. Went for a bit longer than usual, but here we go. So, in our conversations over the last couple of weeks, we have been talking about having these thought-provoking conversations and how we can really move to I'm not sure what's happening with my presentation here. So let me just pause for a second. As we say, we do these presentations live. So I think my computer just had a heart attack. So let's uh, let's just see what's going on. I'll stop my share for a minute. See what's happening with my Prezzo here. Yeah, there's a bit of a bug when I download the presentation. Excuse me for a second. When I download the presentation and I've got PowerPoint open at the same time, it really dislikes it. I'm sorry about this. I did always test before I start, but we're going to try again. So apologies for that. Okay, I've got all the friends on the line, otherwise you'll think, oh, she's rubbish. All right. I don't know what happened. I always test. I come on the line earlier. I always test. And there you go, technology. It's been a while since we've had a technology issue. Oh, thank you, Janelle. You're very kind. Happens to all of us, doesn't it? All right, here we go. Let's see if we can get this Prezzo going again. Here we go. Thank you, everyone. You're very kind. Oh, you're so kind. Thank you so much. Alrighty, here we go. Let's give it another go. I suspected actually something was wrong when the acknowledgement to country slide didn't come up, and I'm like, oh, that's all right. I'll just carry on because I do that acknowledgement all the time. So, alrighty, let's just make sure we can see now. Up, here we go. There you go. Trends away. We got that. We got that much. Okay, hold your horse. Let's cross our fingers. Oh, there we go. All right. So over, thank you everyone for your understanding. Let's carry on, shall we? So over the last couple of weeks, we've been looking at trends in performance conversations, and what we've been really focusing on is the trend that is moving away from the annual conversation and the mid-year conversation as well. And there's a lot of research out there which I've been sharing with you over the last couple of weeks. And the first bit of research is that 1 in 5 employees report that their performance reviews are transparent, fair, or inspire better performance. Now, that's a big issue, isn't it, that we've been discussing, because it means that only 1 in 5 people actually think that their performance reviews are any good in the first place. Only 20% think they're transparent, fair, or even inspire better performance. And it is because of this that a number of very large organizations across the board and smaller ones that I've talked to recently as well have really moved away from annual events. 47% of employees strongly agree that they know what's expected of them at work, which means that half of the people in their roles don't know what's expected of them. And then, of course, you're expected to do a performance review against that, but we don't know what's expected in the first place. So there's some real concerns from that perspective. And 56% of employees formally review their performance goals with their managers at least once a year. So only half are doing that annual review. A big shift now to doing the regular reviews, to doing regular one-on-one conversations, weekly, fortnightly, monthly conversations, that then we're looking at performance across the board and across the month rather than these once-off reviews. So they're the big trends. We go to Gallup and we go to a lot of different sources to verify our trends as well. I did mention a couple of weeks ago, you do want to watch out if you're using AI, because they're often referencing uh, studies from many years ago, as in pre-COVID. So we want to make sure we've got the latest data here that we're using and sharing as well. So I want to talk to you this afternoon about how we can take a strengths-based approach, a strengths-based coaching approach to performance conversations. Now, there's a lot of alumni on the line. So for many of you, you'll feel like a warm hug when you see this information. But for some of you, it'll be a bit of a refresher. For others, you might not have seen this information before. So let me take you through what we're talking about. And we're, the headline for the Coaching Cafe is that 36% uplift in performance. And we really have seen it. So I want to share with you what we've seen and how we can make a difference here together as a community. So, first of all, the first thing that we think about is, what are we talking about when we talk about strengths? Now, we use the definitions from Strength Scope, the UK psychologist Brewerton and Brooke, and we also go back to the early definitions of strengths from the early psychology days of Martin Seligman and his colleagues as well. And they talk about strengths in terms of what energizes a person within their role to achieve high performance. Now, it's a very good distinction, actually, because we're talking about what energizes us. I'm one of my strengths, you might say, is developing others. Now, it's not that I'm, saying that I'm good at developing others. What I'm talking about is that I'm energized to be here with you and for us all to develop together. Now, what's interesting is that what energizes us, lights us up in terms of our work and the work we do. One of my strengths is collaboration. So I'm really energized by working together with super smart people like yourselves and with the alumni to grow and develop. Now, what's interesting is our job could call for that. So our job descriptions could have develop others, collaborate, etc., in it. But there will be parts of our job and our job description that we have to be good at, that we have to do, but don't particularly energize us. So the interesting distinction we make here is between what our job requires us to do and what actually energizes us to achieve high performance in our roles. And once we start separating out those two, now we actually see the potential for high performance. And the example I use here is if I'm playing to my strengths, if I'm collaborating because I'm energized by collaborating, yes, my job description could say, I have to collaborate with stakeholders, I have to collaborate with internal stakeholders, I have to collaborate with external stakeholders and our steering committee, work together to strengthen the coaching programs and represent the industry, blah, blah, blah. So that's my job. Um, and it could be a requirement of my job to collaborate, but I might not really enjoy collaborating, actually. I might prefer to do it myself. And I might not really like all those meetings and where you have to get together and talk about things. So it's a difference between what my job requires and what energizes me. So I am energized by collaborating, and that's where when we see this, like we call it this kind of strengths odometer. I kind of made that up. When we're playing to our strengths, then we're in the green zone, and we're playing to our strengths in terms of collaboration, for example. Now, if I push into the red zone, I'm overplaying my strengths. And in fact, that will lead to underperformance. So when you think about it with collaboration, if I do too much collaborating and I collaborate to the point where no decisions are made or we're not moving forward on projects or on whatever we're working on, the over collaboration means that I'm in the red zone doing too much of it. And now I'm not performing at my best. And I'm not achieving high performance because the projects are getting stalled. Hopefully that's making sense to you. Tell me in the chat if that's resonating with you. On the other side, where we have the underplay, if I am not collaborating at all, so I'm underplaying collaboration because I'm doing it myself and I'm not interested and I get things done quicker by myself rather than collaborating, then I'm underplaying collaboration. And what that could mean is that I'm not seeking counsel or I'm not seeking advice. I'm not seeking input from important people. I'm making the decisions by myself. And now I'm actually underperforming as well because I'm not playing to my strengths. It's really interesting when we talk about the different strengths that we have, and all of our strengths are really different. So we've all got different strengths. We all bring different things that energize us to the workplace and to our roles. And because of that, we can play to our strengths, we can overplay our strengths, or we can underplay our strengths. So if we want that uplift in performance of 36%, then we need to dial back sometimes, or we need to uplift sometimes as well. Let me give you another example. I have a lot of clients who have detailed orientation as one of their strengths. They love the detail. They eat detail for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Now, I love the detail, but I take a more strategic approach to things and then I dig into the detail. But let's talk about those clients who love the detail. Now, if they love detail and they go into a meeting and they're asked questions from an executive about a project or give me an overview or something, and they go too much into the detail, they will lose people within the meetings. And too much detail, if you're overplaying it, means procrastination, nothing gets finished. It can come across as nitpicking, actually, like detail, 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 micromanagement and nitpicking the detail. That then creates underperformance because nothing ever gets finished. It's nothing can ever be good enough for you. Nothing is perfect, and we're pursuing perfection, and it's impossible. So when I've got clients who are really focused on the detail, it's about dialing that back a fraction so that they're in that high performance zone. And particularly when they're going into meetings, if they're just getting the right play in terms of the right level of detail, now their performance is actually uplifted. On the other side, if we're not focusing on detail, we might need to uplift the performance there. We get that shift, that 36% uplift in performance because we're getting the right amount of detail. So, what I offer you to think about is if we think about what are our strengths, what really energizes us about our work in the workplace. What does it look like if we're really high performing, if we're playing to each of those strengths? So if I'm thinking from a strategic point of view and it's about developing people and I get to work on exciting projects where I get to collaborate, if I get to really think about the strategic benefit to not only the organization, but to communities and to the coaching industry and the like. So you can see how I'm going, I'm chunking right up. So if I get to work on those kind of projects with people and with clients and we're introducing coaching, et cetera, it's really exciting. Where I could overplay is I get too excited and you come up with all these great ideas that never get implemented. And if you think about someone who's got a strength around enthusiasm, enthusiasm can be over enthusiastic to the point where people don't listen anymore. I've had clients being called a zealot or over enthusiastic or have drunk the red cordial or just too much or too excited and too in your face. So when we dial back the enthusiasm, for example, as an example of the strength, and we dial it back a fraction so that we get in that nice zone, performance actually lifts. When it comes to enthusiasm, if there's too much enthusiasm, it's underperforming because people are switching off and they're not interested, and you're chasing down all sorts of rainbows and unicorns and all sorts of exciting things that the actual work that you need to be doing is not getting done. So I've got lots of different examples. There's with the strength scope, there's 24 workplace strengths, and we can be thinking about each of those strengths and how we bring those to the workplace. So let me pause for a moment, see if there's any thoughts or comments coming out of the chat group. Normally I would throw to Paula here, wouldn't I, and get her input onto it. So keen to hear what you think as well. So, in terms of the research on strengths, this is again from Gallup, and I am looking for the latest research here as well. This research goes back to 2016, so it's over 10 years old, but the latest research backs it up as well. What they're talking about is a focus on strengths-based development, so a focus on coaching and strengths here in the way that we've talked about it, can have a 36% increase in productivity, a 49% decrease in staff turnover, a 29% increase in profit, 15% increase in sales, 11% reduction in absenteeism, and 67% of employees are more engaged when their manager focuses on their strengths. We get a 73% improvement in engagement. Now, these are the older statistics, but the latest statistics that have been brought out by Gallup and a number of the other different organizations that we follow are following the same statistics. And interestingly, that 36% increase in productivity is pretty constant. So, what does that mean now in terms of our performance reviews? Well, to all of you on the line, it will be pretty obvious. If we focus on people's strengths in performance reviews, what energizes them about their role, and how they bring more of that to their role, then we see this uplift in productivity on an ongoing basis. It's not just talking about it once a year or at the midterm review. It's about a continuous focus on how we can bring our strengths to our work so that we can have that continuous increase and uplift in productivity. Now, what's interesting is the way that I approach this is if I'm going into a big new meeting or I'm going into a presentation or I'm doing a piece of work or the way I also use it is if there's conflict in the workplace. I think about what strengths can I bring to this? Because conflict can take away from our productivity. It can decrease our engagement. It can leave us feeling really flat sometimes. So, what can I bring? What strengths can I bring that if I call upon that, that will make a difference in the actual work that I'm doing? Of course, I'm also trying as a coach all the time to identify the strengths in our clients. So I'm listening in from a coaching point of view. I'm listening and I'm tracking for for the clients, the coachees, or as the ICL called the counterparts. So I'm coaching. I'm tracking for the person I'm coaching for their strengths. And sometimes you might even play them back. What I'm hearing is you've got a strength around collaboration. What's your thoughts around that, or what would you say your strengths are? So I'm hearing those strengths, and sometimes when you play them back, it makes a real difference to the person that you're coaching. There's a coaching demonstration I did on the Coaching Cafe, which you can pick up, where I played back the person's strengths, and they were so grateful for hearing that playback. They had never thought about bringing their strengths or those things that are most important to them uh, to the conversation that they were having or they were about to have as well. So, anything we can do as coaches to really bring out those strengths, replay those strengths back, not saying, am I right? Like, am I right in thinking this is a strength, but to identify them and to play them back. And then to really think about how can we bring those strengths to this conversation? How can you leverage the strengths to achieve the goals that you are trying to achieve? We've shared with you the coaching approach, the reflective review framework over the last couple of webinars. And for those on the alumni who've done our certificate for in workplace and business coaching, you'll recognize this as the Proud Challenges Improvement and Plan model. So we use this for needs analysis at the beginning of our program, but we also use it as a reflective review as well. And you'll notice that the strengths are built into the Proud Challenges Improvement and Plan processes. So we're talking about when it comes to Proud, what's going well and what have you achieved, but how did you play to your strengths? Now, what a lovely question to ask each time that we're reviewing each time we're having a one-on-one, or each time that we're having a fortnightly catch-up, each time we're reviewing our performance, what strengths can we call upon to overcome these challenges that we're talking about? And in terms of improvement, what can we focus on for continuous improvement? What would we like to change or do differently? And what strengths can we call upon to really bring that improvement through? So I like to include the strengths conversations through the conversations that we're having as teams, weekly, fortnightly, monthly, whatever it might be, but also in our regular reviews of our performance and our regular reviews of our indicators, either on a weekly, fortnightly, monthly basis. So many organizations are moving to more the weekly, fortnightly, monthly reviews rather than the midterm and the annual reviews. And so that's what we would love to see is more of a conversation about, well, thinking about the goals that we want to achieve over the next fortnight or month or 3 months, the next quarter. How are we going to play to our strengths? Whose strengths do we need to call upon? And how can we bring those strengths to the actual work? If we're doing that, I'm expecting, based on all of my experience in using strengths in this approach and based on the actual research that we see, we will get that 36.5% uplift in performance that we're looking for. So that's the challenge, and they're the stories that we can actually share with each other as well. I have been saying for quite a few weeks now, because I've been reflecting back on the conversations I've had with the late Sir John Whitmore. I've been listening to recordings that I did from many years ago. And back then he said, never has there been a better time for coaching. And I truly think, today in our workplaces, as leaders, as managers, as coaches, with everything that's going on in our external environments and in our internal environments within our organizations, that never has there been a better time for coaching, for listening, for the powerful questions, for providing this space where people can reflect and build their self-awareness and their perceptions and their perspectives, for insight, for creating meaning, for focusing, so helping people clarify what matters most, for the growth and development that we enable through coaching. There's never been a better time for building trust in our organizations. Coaching enables us to build rapport and create a psychological safe spaces for people. And trust is the biggest currency and the biggest issue that we have in organizations at the moment, along with engagement. And so there's never been a better time to actually use strengths and take a coaching approach to empower people, and really enable that ownership and build their confidence as well. So I know that I know that I am, preaching to the converted here as well in some ways. But for those of you that are new to coaching and, you're coaching managers to coach their people, um, and what we're talking about, as I mentioned, with coaching, just to answer your question there, Janelle, we talk about that 36% uplift in performance, and that comes from the research that a focus on strengths and a focus on strengths-based coaching gets us that 36% uplift in performance. So that's what we've talked about, in terms of if you want the actual numbers and the actual statistics that this approach can take, then we've got some real return on investment statistics and numbers that you can use, as part of your conversations as well. Well, there you go. Never has there been a better time for coaching, as we say. And as I always say, as we're dialing out, if you're interested, please contact us about our certificate for in workplace and business coaching and our diploma of leadership coaching. Contact us about the leadership programs we're running and our coaching programs that we're running as well. And all, as I always say, I sign off by saying, happy Friday to you for those that are listening live. Happy weekend as well for those picking it up on the podcast. And as we always say, enjoy your coaching. I'll say goodbye for now.